Hey everyone, today we're talking Jedi boots. I'm going to make some Jedi boots for my Clone Wars Plo Koon build, and we're going to do it without any sewing whatsoever. I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, footwear can be a really expensive part of any costume build, so any kind of shortcuts you can take is really important. I decided I wanted to make my Jedi boots from scratch, as I wanted them to be a very particular colour, and of course buying full leather boots can be really expensive. And for this build I decided to fake it, so I actually made some wraps which go over my leg and around a real boot, with the idea that these will look like tall leather boots. So to start with, I bought some boots that fit me. These are short ankle high boots. I bought these from ASOS. They weren't very expensive. They're not leather or anything, but they fit pretty well. They're quite comfy. So these are a good base for my boot. So to turn these regular boots into Jedi boots, I wanted to cover them in vinyl. So I bought a roll of brown vinyl. I bought a lot of it. But I wanted to have enough to make sure I could make the boots how I wanted to make them. I started by patterning the boots that I already had. This is done by adding tape onto the boot and then drawing the pattern panels that you think are going to work. Now I started doing this with packing tape. It's an okay idea, but I started putting it straight onto the boot, which really isn't a good idea. It's best to wrap it in cling film or saran wrap if you're in America. Just that plastic wrapping that sticks to itself, but I went all the way around, covered it in that, and then put the tape on top. You can then figure out your pattern. Be sure to label your patterns, and you can also draw registration keys on there just to make sure everything's going to line up again. Now you can do each boot if you want, but you can easily just flip the patterns to get the other side. So once I had my patterns done, I simply transferred them over to the vinyl and then cut those out with just some scissors. Nice and easy. Next came gluing it to the shoe. Now to do this, you can use different types of glue. Hot glue would probably work if you need to do that, but by far the best thing to do is use contact cement. With the contact cement, you just coat each side with a thin layer, let it go touch dry, and when you touch those layers together, they're not going to come apart again very easily. I found the vinyl to be really forgiving in working around the shoe. You could kind of stretch and pull it to get it to stick to the shoe, and I think the shoe covering job went really well. It actually looks like part of the shoe despite all the little overhangs I had to begin with. The only thing I really wanted to cover was the center strip where the two halves met, and for this I just made up a little piece by folding over the ends so it was nice and clean, and then gluing the strip down straight up the middle. To finish off this part, I just needed to trim it up, so I just ran my scalpel in the seam of the heel, which cleaned everything up. Now to transform these into more knee-high boots, we need to make the bit that goes up the leg. Now this I knew was going to be a piece that I wanted to attach to the bottom via velcro, and I looked at the design in the show and it looks like it has a kind of almost spat on the boot, so I knew I could make this and have that as the joining part to be the leg wrap. Also looking at the reference, there are different layers of the leather which kind of look like they're stacked up, so this gave me the idea to make panels out of the vinyl. I cut strips the appropriate lengths and then folded the top edge to give a nice clean edge, and then these are simply glued to each other, one after the other. Now the top part's a bit more tricky. It looks like it folds down kind of like a pirate boot, so I actually had to glue vinyl back to back to double side it and then glue one edge over so it was a nice clean edge. This piece could then be glued to the top, and then when everything's assembled it will fold down to give that look. As I said, this is kind of a quick and dirty way to make shoes. Ideally you could sew things together, but the point of this video is we're doing it without sewing because I don't really want to do that and I can't really do that. So everything is literally put together with that contact cement. I used a fabric specific velcro on the bottom bits to get them all aligned. This helped me when gluing everything together. It's a velcro with a special fabric adhesive which seems to stick really well to fabric. I can vouch for it. It does stick really well, better than just the regular kind of sticky velcro you can get for hard surfaces. But this just helped me get everything aligned and stuck down. Once I had the wrap in place, the only thing I had to do was kind of size it to my leg. I made these a little big so that I could then trim it down. I knew my leg kind of tapers from the ankle to the calf, so I knew I would have to cut a tapered line into the side of it. This I decided to do on the inside of the leg because it's less obvious. The way I did it was just to literally put it on my leg and mark out where I needed and then cut it. So the boot is now together. I'm sorry I missed a few steps in the middle, but I've gone ahead and added some velcro to the seam on the inside. Now everything does up like so, and that sits kind of how I want it. The final step was to add weathering. This I did with black and brown shoe polish. Again, by far the easiest way I figured to weather shoes is with shoe polish. This I used to just darken the seams and add a bit of contrast and also cover up some of that vinyl edge that was still showing. I did my best to fold over and glue all the edges that I could see visible, but some of them ended up not being just because of the way it's constructed. But once that was done, that was it. The boots were done. So there we go guys, that's a quick, easy and cheap way to make it look like you've got a full set of leather boots. Like I said, this was just a cheap pair of shoes, some vinyl, some contact cement and a bit of time, and that's it. That's all you need to make some convincing leather boots. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. It was quite a learning curve for me. I've never made anything like this before, and I would like to try my hand at sewing some things like this in the future. But for this costume, it was good to do it just quick and dirty. I have actually trooped in them. They held up really well. We had a bit of velcro coming undone a little bit as I was walking around, but it's no problem. You just need to fasten it back down and it stays shut pretty well. We are nearly done with the Clone Wars Plo Koon build coverage. I just have the really cool bit to show you next time, which will be, of course, the mask. It's a really fun one and I've been saving it for you guys. I hope to see you then, and of course until then, take care. Bye bye.